For usual, living on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. Let's take a look at some charts for Setup Sunday. And there's really one chart to rule them all. Still here, if this breaks out, it's the one trade of the year you don't want to miss besides the last trade you may have missed post ETF launch for BTC. We will get to that one, but first, if we look at Bitcoin cycles historically, and honestly, I hope these just melt away. They're kind of just a roadmap so far because they've repeated for a couple years, for a couple cycles. 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off. We're in the on part of the cycle. We're in the second half of the cycle from the low. And in the black there, we are a few days before, historically, you'd expect all-time highs, or new highs in this case, previous case. Looking at 2015, 2018, that came about 680. We're currently 670. Looking at 2018, that also came in about 680, somewhere in there. And that also lines up with the end of September, the beginning of Q4. It's almost odd how great this is all lining up, especially with rates coming down. You obviously have the election as a big question mark and how that's going to change things, but what's happening is what we expect to happen. Once we're above 66 or 68 or 70 or whatever, and we pull back, ultimately the move is expected to go higher. Looking at the things that matter on the macro side and the crypto side, week over week, the only thing that's changed really on the macro side is I'd say geopolitical risk has ratcheted up, especially in the Middle East. But we still have a weak dollar. We still have rates now potentially coming down another 50 basis points in November, and liquidity continues to increase. We don't have QT just yet, but that may change down the road. Sorry, we have QT, we don't have QE just yet. And on the crypto side, price-wise, we're not quite full bull yet, but this is my expectation here shortly. We're going to see technicals look better and better. That's going to feed momentum. That's going to feed flows. That's going to feed attention, eyeballs. We had news of IBIT options getting approved, at least the initial stages of that on Friday. We've got FTX money. How much it is, I don't know. I don't care. How much ends up in crypto, I don't really care. It's about what people think will happen. What people think will happen is a bunch of money is going to get dumped into crypto. Okay, so trade around that. If you agree with that, then trade around that. What actually happens, we'll see. Like the GOX coins, right? Everybody thought, oh man, it's game over. The GOX coins. They're still out there lurking. It's just they have been sent to people for the most part. There may be one final round, maybe, but I think most of what's planned to be distributed has been distributed. We've eaten through all this coin distribution. All of it's still out there, of course. It's not like it just magically disappears. We may still have resistance higher, obviously, but price-wise, despite the bearish lean we've had over the past 6 months, we still stayed in a decently tight range. Technicals for BTC, we'll take a look at all this obviously today, and we're not quite above everything just yet, but very close. Very, very close. So for the bears, you can let me know in the comments. I mean, what should I worry about? I'm honestly most worried about legacy collapsing. I'm worried about that. Not that I have a good reason why that would happen, other than it just looks a little overbought up here. But that's my biggest worry. My biggest worry is that as BTC tries to catch up, the legacy rolls over a little bit, and we get dragged down with that. So that's my biggest worry, really, for the rest of Q4. Looking at ETF flows, flat, kind of unexciting, even though we did a positive 400 million back-to-back over the past 2 weeks for BTC. No one cares about ETH, sorry. That will probably change eventually in the future. But right now, as we stand, no one cares and no one has cared about the ETH ETF. Look at the flows. Thus far, it's been a great vehicle for Grayscale holders to unlock that liquidity. And just as far as my own positioning on legacy accounts right now, this is what it looks like. I probably don't talk about this enough in videos, but just in case people are curious what I'm doing, we'll take a look at all these charts today. This is the cash slice. The cash slice and the PFE slice will get rotated more into BTC or BTC adjacent stuff this week if we break higher. And you never know, we may wake up tomorrow morning and US Open hits and we're back down to 60K, right? I don't know. But if we start to climb higher or start to look better, I will continuously just peel back on the cash, peel back on the bond-like position in PFE, Pfizer. And as far as MSTR and miners, I don't really hold much of that. Most of this BTC is just ETFs and leveraged BTC. And just as a reminder, because I still have people focused on they're focused on like the 15-minute chart or some alt meme coin that just launched. Look, I get it. But at the same time, it's good to remind yourself, if this is real, like, you don't have to believe in this. This isn't gospel or anything, but if this model is close to real this cycle, we are talking about potentially in the 300s. Potentially. This is, of course, the power law. We can look at the power law on TradingView as well. And it's really that simple. The next question people want to know is when? When? And my answer is always, who cares? Really? Maybe mid next year, maybe Q2, maybe Q4. I don't know. You'll know it when you see it. You'll know it when you see it. But I can tell you this, we're not there yet. We're not even close. We are still very much in fueling the rocket territory. We can look at the 2-year moving average multiplier as well. And that also gives you a 6-figure plus target that we're not even close to hitting just yet. Before I go any further here on BTC, let me mention today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro with the link in the description of this video. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Ventures, Inc., PVI, DBA, Kraken. We'll take a look at a few alts in this video on USD pairs. Alts have started to look very good over the past week. A few of them leading much more than others. Some of them in the pre-breakout stages, and then some of them deeply in the needs to pull up quite a bit stage. That would be ETH. Some of them just sort of stuck in the mud. That would be Sol. Interesting that we're seeing coins down the market cap, mid caps move a little better than ETH and Sol here. That may change, of course, if BTC breaks out a little bit more. But there are a few charts. There are a lot of charts in the, we'll call them last cycle launches, that have started to look decent over the past week. This is DOGE, falling wedge on this, falling wedge on AVAX and ADA, and like you can go down the list and look, and we'll take a look at some of those, but for the most part, my highest confidence will always be BTC. And back to this, depending on how you want to navigate your own allocation, more risk, more leverage, more alts, right? And for some people, that's all they do. That's fine. But you don't want to get too lost in the sauce there and just assume every single alt across the board is going to move at the same time. And I would have some commonsensical TA attached to decision-making processes with alts there. Specifically just trend. Is it bullish or is it doing a bunch of nothing, right? So this is BTC. For the 4th time past March, we are now back above the daily cloud. I don't think we've ever seen this as far as this amount of chop, this amount of fake out above the cloud. That's why I say, look, we could wake up tomorrow, be back down to 60. I don't know. But the more this can chop around, at least sideways, above the daily cloud, that's huge. Now, we don't have a bullish TK cross yet. We don't have a bullish cloud yet. So that'll need to pull up a little bit. The 2-day looks a little different. We're above the cloud without a bullish TK cross. It's kind of all over the place because this has been so choppy. The trend metrics aren't going to help you that much. But when we look at the 50 in the green there, we're above that. We're at the 200-day moving average. I think we're above it now at 64.2. And the 140, the 20-week moving average in the yellow there, we're also above. So I would love to see us break out, retest either the yearly pivot, the 20-week moving average, or the 50-day moving average, along with the daily Kijun. So this will probably happen, if it happens, over the next 10 days. But the first step is we get some sort of breakout. I don't think it'll just run away from us. Honestly, I really don't. I think we're going to see plenty of resistance and plenty of people selling this down. The book still feels very thin on both sides, but this looks a heck of a lot better than crushing lows beyond support. So I'll give it that. Looking at the target for just this consolidation, the first leg of this, the eventual resting place for the first leg, probably just below 100. I'd imagine somewhere between 85 and 100. 100 is going to be a massive psychological level. A new all-time high is also going to be a massive, just, wake up for a lot of people not paying attention to this, who haven't been paying attention to this. We also have a yearly pivot up there, an R4 at around 100. Typically in post-halving years, when we break out past the R5 yearly pivot. So that we may not see until 2025. Whatever 2025's R5 might lined up with. We'll take a look at that on January 1st, but this is the first step. The first step is, okay, is this an inverted head and shoulders? Is this a W? Can we hold these moving averages? Can we hold the cloud? Can we hold R2? Because we haven't been able to really do any of that for 6 months. So that would be a definite change of character. Zooming out, similar to the power law corridor, there is plenty of evidence for whatever this pattern is. Probably a cup and handle. We'll take a look at examples of cup and handles and how they've played out today. You could also probably call this some sort of inverted head and shoulders, even though the chart pattern police will come after you and say that has to be a reversal pattern, not a continuation pattern. That's why this is a cup and handle, because a cup and handle is a continuation pattern. Whatever. They measure to the same place. Roughly 180 to 350, 320, whatever that is, right? Like, what does it matter? We'll see what it looks like when it gets there, but this is what you don't want to mess up, okay? You could have done a bunch of nothing all year. Fine, right? But you didn't want to mess up this in Q4, and you certainly don't want to mess this up. If this plays out in any regard, you don't want to be the guy in 2025 or 2026 or the gal saying, you know, I really messed that up. I really messed that up, how I played that. Looking at MSTR, just because I know there's a lot of people also trading MSTR, this looks fine. It held the levels it needed to hold. It didn't break down. Maybe an Adam and Eve on the daily, about to be above the daily cloud as well. This measures to about 400 on the first leg. It's going to be interesting to see if we see NAV premium expansion based on the treasury. This is the 2x line here for premium to NAV. So it's going to be interesting to see, can this expand to like some crazy number or not, right? We'll see. We'll see how stupid it gets, but just using the TA on this chart, Pitchfork plus chart pattern really likes 312 to 410 effectively within Q4 timeframe. And if we do a little round the horn against other assets that matter, this is gold. I also think this is a cup and handle, which we should handedly beat the pants off of here in Q4 into 2025. This is TLT. We already hit mega all-time highs against TLT, and this should continue to look better. That's the 30-day moving average. Generally a pretty good level to watch, just on trend for this pair trade legacy stuff. Just gives you some sense of, are we winning or losing against TLT? This is BTC against DXY. Shout out to Omen in the Discord who showed me this one. A very clean inverted head and shoulders. And really, when you're looking at this stuff on these pairs, you're just trying to see, are there any landmines? Are there any obvious bullish or bearish trends or patterns or anything to pay attention to here? And all of these look pre-breakout to me. This is Bitcoin against the S&P, same thing. Not quite free and clear, but it's looking better and better and better. Again, 30-day moving average. You can see how we held above that when we are consistently bullish. And this is important for people, allocators who are looking for alpha outside of the S&P, looking for anything to allocate into. And they have that option through the ETFs. And as we see this outperformance here pick up, there's going to be even more of a call to rotate into BTC over legacy. This is the Qs. Again, kind of the same thing. All these charts look about the same across the board. Not quite there yet, but about to be there. And then there's, of course, the alt arguments. You know, well, what about ETH? What about Sol? What about XYZ coin? We'll look at it on the BTC chart. Could this be the bottom? Sure. Are the odds that this moves down another 50%? The same as the first 50%? I don't think so. But trend is not on your side here. Trend is obvious, and it's been bearish. Is it oversold? Probably, but it's been bearish. And this is what you're looking for into probably 2025 when ETH starts to outperform, as it typically does in the first half of the year. You're looking for a crack above the 50-week moving average. Not there yet. Sol BTC also just kind of boring and flat. Not saying this won't outperform this cycle, but this does not look as bullish as BTC USD does, for example, or a few of the other charts I'm about to show in this video. If we look at some other charts that are either current cup and handles or cup and handles that have played out for the people who think this is impossible, this can't happen. Here's the S&P cup and handle completed 2023. We now have reached that target. Still a little room left, but it certainly looks less attractive here than it did at 4,600, just based on the technicals, just based on the chart pattern. It also had an inverted head and shoulders down here, whereas up here, we may just continue to melt up to infinity, sure, but from a technical perspective, definitely less attractive, even though all-time highs aren't bearish, just less attractive up here for me. These are the Qs, again, same thing, cup and handle, maybe triangle, maybe W, same thing with the S&P, maybe a mini cup and handle here on low time frames, but this was a cup and handle that played out. It's got a little bit of room left. DJI, also cup and handle, not a lot of room left, also melting up, but these happen all the time. You don't want to miss them. That's why if it's a multi-year pattern, you should know what to do by the time this is breaking out. SMH, same thing, reached the target. This could be a head and shoulders up here. Doesn't matter if it is or it isn't. It's just that it looks like it might be, so just not for me. And it hit the cup and handle target. So why bother fooling around with SMH when you've got something like BTC that hasn't even broken out yet? All the more reason for some of this Mag 7 money to help fuel higher highs for BTC. And then here's, of course, gold, decade-long cup and handle in the process of breaking out. Also has a decent amount left in the tank as far as the technical target is concerned. Along with BTC, there are a few others that look decent. IGV is one. This is the software ETF. For BTC, I would certainly prefer a horizontal resistance line like this. This is about as clean as you're going to see it, just like the S&P, just like the Qs. So this looks much more attractive to me than chips or semis here. Hack is another one. Cybersecurity, cup and handle. I really don't care what the ETF is. It helps that it has a story. It helps that, hey, maybe it's undervalued. Maybe they'll benefit from AI. Maybe these cybersecurity companies become more relevant with AI, right? We can make something up and say like, here's the narrative. This is what it's going to be, or we think this is what the narrative is going to be. But the technicals are already there, and they look ready to go. BNB is another one that if I told you to draw an inverted head and shoulders on a chart, this is what you would draw. This is textbook. Does it break out here at 595? I don't know, but it looks like it wants to badly. Very clean pattern on an alt when there's not really too much that looks like that, just sitting at highs. And again, on this relative value idea, like ton in SMH, these head and shoulders don't need to play out, but I don't need to be here and stick around and find out. There's just so many other options to trade. Like, why bother, right? Ton already moved 10,000%. Sol already moved 10,000% this year. Find the momentum or the pre-momentum and trade that versus trying to force a trade on this that's back in the range. Yeah, this could break out. This could go to 35. I don't know, but it doesn't look like it wants to go to 35 today, right now. Your Sol on the cloud, and like I said, just kind of stuck in the mud. Just not exciting. I like it better at 165. I like it better at 180. I like it best at 200. If BTC is bullish, Sol should be bullish, should follow, but it's opportunity cost, it's relative value, it's what has momentum, what has the attention right now today. It's not Sol, it's not ETH. I like ETH above 3,000 or whatever it is above the daily cloud. I would love ETH going into Q4, going into the end of Q4 with an inverted head and shoulders, but that would mean most likely BTC doesn't make a push towards six figures. So I don't know if we're going to see that, but similar to BNB, if we can get a multi-month triple bottom, yeah, that's a great pattern to trade, but we're not there yet, right? So ETH very much looks unexciting. Ripple also, just because people always ask me about Ripple, this one hasn't made a higher high in many months and has basically been flat for many years. Sui broke above the daily cloud September 12th, and it's been nothing but a rocket ship since then. I like this on a pullback. I like this on a deep pullback. Maybe this eventually makes a cup and handle. But for me, if I missed it on the 12th, it's just not a trade that I want to take all the way up here just because a lot of the move has already happened. Again, doesn't mean it can't go to 167, but I like to catch the breakouts at the cloud. Here's Aptos, just broke out a couple of days ago above the daily cloud. triple bottom, inverted head and shoulders, looks great. FTM, inverted head and shoulders, broke through the cloud, broke above the cloud, looks great. You know, these are just trend trades to take, potentially, depending on how you feel about them, that look much better than most of the old guard. Here's FET, AI adjacent, I guess you could call it. Similar to FTM, looks great. Just because the target is here doesn't mean it can't have some trend run like it did beginning of this year. So alts finally, slowly starting to maybe sort of turn the corner. Here's Say, also a triple bottom, looks like Apt. You know, you can line these up, okay? Like FTM, that one's already moved. Apt just starting to move. SUI, obviously, deep into a move there. And then you can just allocate based on what you like, right? There's some meme coins. DOGE I talked about. SHIB I like probably most in the group outside of DOGE, just because it was already down, I don't know, 85% from the high there, gone sideways for several months. And this is what you need to see on ETH BTC. This is what you need to see on anything against BTC to stand a chance, some sort of bottoming process. So even some of the meme coins starting to look good. As far as the legacy stuff, setup wise, it's not really anything new that I haven't talked about or been talking about, just because my trading style is generally multi-week, multi-month, but the meta looks great here at all-time highs, ascending triangle, plenty of room to run. Cores, Bitcoin miner, AI narrative, looks great, all-time highs, plenty of room to run. First target zone would be 14 to 17. Uber pre-breakout, maybe this consolidates a little bit more between 68 and 75. Maybe this is plenty with an inverted head and shoulders. I still like it. I like it for higher. Looks great. Pfizer, not the greatest looking chart, but it's held the bottom for the entirety of the year. For 9 months, 10 months, it has held this level. So I'll give it that. It helps that it has a dynamic dividend that's quite high as well. So this was more of a play, just waiting for something like BTC to regain momentum. So if BTC regains momentum, it makes a lot less sense to sit in defensive stuff like this, in my opinion. But the chart looks okay. PayPal also trying to round the corner, trying to break out, plenty of room. However you want to measure this, it's down horrendously, awfully bad since 2021, as is Peloton, as is Zoom, but they don't look as good to me as PayPal. Roblox, ascending triangle, multi-year ascending triangle, also looks ready to go. Does it break up? I don't know, but I'll be there if it does. And if we weren't as deep in this triangle as we are now, I would care much less about it. But we're getting to the point where we've made so many higher lows on this chart that I think just probability-wise, there's a good chance this may start to break higher. And then lastly on the bond stuff, TLT, IEF, SHI, AG. Depending on your feelings on rates, if you think the market has fully priced in where rates will go, if you think rates will go higher or lower, right, that's going to affect your TLT positioning or your SHI positioning or your AG position. These charts look post-bottom to me. They look full bull trend reversal, at least early stages of that. But again, if they're not going to outperform the most important asset in the world, Bitcoin, momentum-wise, then they're not for me, right? Because if you can't trade this, if you're here like me every day trading whatever, and you're watching this for 9 months, you should be able to understand this is the place you want to be most of the time if there's momentum, based on your risk appetite, of course. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.